All right, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Today, I'm going to be covering the new Tier 9 Tech Tree light cruiser, the Minovan Coehoorn. Maybe. Okay, so this one's actually final, it says. Unlike the Tier 10, which is going to get buffed. This is actually final. So what you see with the ship is what you actually get. Now, of course, our commander here is 19 points. I'm limited to 19 points, unfortunately. But if I were to take a 21 point, I'll show you everything in the video. Okay, so let's start off with the armor layout at least. The ship is Tech Tree. It's going to be available in 70 bundles or whatever. You should get it when it's available for the Tech Tree guys, of course. Because then it'll be... I know some people don't like when I say it, but it will be available for free Tech Trees. I mean, you do have to grind, so it does take that time element, I guess. But in terms of monetary, I mean, you just play the line and you can get it without spending cash, okay? It'll be for free. You just have to wait 3 months. For the armor layout, we have 16mm nose armor, deck and side armor, and aft armor. For the Citadel, as you can see, it's actually a turtleback this time, unlike the Tier 10. Internal turtleback. But, you know, you still have to be really careful with these ships because they can get Citadel. Of course, they have 16mm armor. Now, if some of you are wondering, hey, this ship looks really similar to another ship in the game. Actually, it does. It does, doesn't it? And the ship that you might be thinking of is the Wiesbaden, because both of them are actually the same hull, I believe. But Wiesbaden, somehow, a tier lower, has quite better armor, actually. It has a 25mm side armor. But yeah, Wiesbaden has smoke. Wiesbaden has a 6-second reload, though, and a 15km range with, I believe, James shell speed. This one has 16.5 range with 4.7-second reload, so quite better. You do not get the smoke, but you still keep... No, you don't get hydro either, but you do get a heal. So that's pretty cool. 9.6 ejection, very nice. Let's take a look at our commander. Of course, we're running Last Stand. Focus firing training, survivability expert, superintendent, concealment expert, adrenaline rush, and heavy HE and sap shells. For the extra points, you would take probably demo expert, and that's probably it. Yeah, demo expert. That's the last remaining 2 points. And for my equipment here, I'm running main battery mod 3, concealment system mod 1, airstrike mod 1, aiming system mod 1. Engine boost mod 1 would be the preference, but if you don't have it, I think you should just run engine room protection. And then you have main armaments mod 1. For the exterior camouflage, unfortunately, I don't have it available to me right now, so I can't show it to you, but there's gonna be 2. I don't know what the first one's gonna be. The second one's gonna be like, it looks like a ship. Like, it looks like one of those old Dutch merchant tall ships, you know, those sailing ships. For the ship characteristics, we have 40,900 HP, 10% torpedo reduction, 128mm guns with 32mm pen, because we do get that German improved HE penetration, 4.7-second reload, very fast shell speed, 16.5 range, quite good. For airstrike, a 34-second reload. Instead of having 7 planes, we have 6 planes, so we lose out on 2 bombs, and we lose out on 1km range from the Tier 10. Still quite good airstrikes though, 13.5 range for Tier 9 and also 6 flights. We also have 2 flights and the reload's really fast still, with the pen being good. So quite good regardless, especially for Tier 9. Maximum speed, we go a bit slower than Tier 10. We go 35.7 knots, but we do have the 8% speed boost. And for concealment, we have 9.6 detection, which is actually better than the Tier 10. So this is the Coehoorn. Let's go into the game in the Coehoorn. Alright, here we are on Estuary in the Coehoorn. Listen, I might be pronouncing the ship incorrectly. I'm not Dutch. I'm not gonna be sure how to pronounce these ship names. But something I want to mention about the Coehoorn. Now, I have liked the Wiesbaden before. Like, I played the Wiesbaden, of course, before, and I actually enjoyed playing it. It was actually a really fun experience, in my opinion. And it was a bit sad that it was only available, I think, in some sort of event or something. I don't remember. Maybe bundles, I think it was available in. The Coehoorn will be Tech Tree, though, which is a bit nice, of course, to see. What's nice about it is you kind of still get the nice guns, except you get better reload, right? You are at tier 9 though, so your DPM actually, you get the 4th highest AP DPM at tier 9, and the, I think, 8th highest HE DPM at tier 9, 9th highest at tier 9. So, maybe the HE DPM isn't that crazy, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad. Unfortunately, we missed our airstrikes. Something I want to mention about these ships in general, these new Dutch light cruisers, is even though they have speed boost, and it looks like, you know, they got a decent ability to open water, I wouldn't say they are open water cruisers. I would say you kind of want to play them a bit on islands if possible. The reason being the armor scheme is pretty bad. So you kind of want to try to play them on rocks. More importantly, though, it's not just about the armor scheme, but also the fact that you still have the damage output potential given to you from those airstrikes, right? You can sit behind those rocks and just dish out airstrikes for a long time of the game, actually, and you can get pretty good damage consistently with that. Oh, I don't want to die. We need to slow down right now. Hopefully we'll manage. But yeah, so you can... I said this in the tier 10 video. I'm sure most of you watched the tier 10 video because I know a lot of you prioritize tier 10s over tier 9s. But for those of you who haven't watched, sitting on the islands are actually quite advantageous for you because, well, you're not taking any damage, right? And more importantly, you're still dishing out pretty good damage because you reload your airstrikes very fast. And the grouping is very small, and you have pretty good pen on the bombs with good fire chance. So every 30 seconds you should be able to light a fire with the airstrikes. Sometimes not, you know, but the range is really good. So you can kind of just sit behind those rocks and output that damage. Now we do need to spot this thunder if possible. I do think he's actually on permafire here. I don't want to push out into him. But as I was saying, you do have speed boost, sure. So you would think you should be able to open water pretty well. Not so much. Because the armor scheme is still really bad, right? Now, of course, in some games, you're gonna need to open water, and that's gonna be the play you're gonna implement, and that's gonna be okay. You know, you're gonna do okay. But don't expect it to be your main, you know, thing to do. It's better to just sit on the island for a time, at least a certain time in the game. Because if you just go out in the open, you're just gonna get smashed. Maybe not easily, but you're still gonna get smashed. You see, we get 11 bombs there on that thunder. We get a fire. Pretty solid damage indeed. He's still burning right now. This is good damage. And look how quick the airstrike reloads. Okay, we had another airstrike we could have used, but I was kind of waiting for him to DCP straight away. That's why I didn't use it on him. I hope he doesn't shoot me, because I think he hurts me a lot. And also something I didn't mention is the drop time on the bombs is really fast when you compare to something like Prince. It only takes 13 seconds to hit the bombs, so you can actually well, aim them better. Now in this case I'm not aiming them that good because he's going full speed, you know, whatever. But you can actually do pretty decent aimings on them, and you can actually land a lot of bombs because of that, because of the drop time being so fast. Now, okay, don't take me into account, because I'm not really the best when it comes to airstriking, etc. But, you know, it is easy to hit the airstrikes, to be honest. Look, we're up to 67k damage, pretty much all from bombs so far. Now, of course, we could have used our guns a bit more, but I didn't, you know, I didn't. But we're up to 82k damage, and we pretty much just sat behind an island, did nothing. Now, we are losing the game. This is something I do want to mention about these ships. They are good ships, but in terms of actually team utility and offering what they offer for team play, unfortunately, you're not going to see much in terms of what they offer for team play outside of their damage output potential. Okay, they have good concealment, but you have no hydro, you have no radar. So you're basically reliant on, well, you outputting as much damage as possible. You're not gonna be utility. Like, for example, I don't know, let's use a random ship. I don't know, a Seattle, for example. A Seattle would be able to radar destroyers. You can kind of push into them more aggressively because of your hydro and radar combination. Maybe you wouldn't regardless, but you have that potential sometimes. With this ship, unfortunately, you don't have that. I talked about this in the Utrecht video, in where it is hard when it comes to fighting a destroyer. You know, it's gonna be a bit hard, especially if it's a torpedo destroyer, something like Shima or Yu Yang, to name Yu Yang, with its really stealthy torps. You're gonna have a really hard time dealing with those ships because you don't have any means of counteracting that in a way. Now, okay, you can say you have high top speed, you have good concealment. It's true, you can play more aggressive with your destroyer players, but you also have that downside of having really bad armor, so you don't want to get caught out in a situation where you're gonna just get smashed, you know? It's almost like, well, in a division, for example, let's use a division example. If you are dived with a destroyer player who has smoke in the Van, Coehoorn, Utrecht, any of these, you're gonna have a really good time, you know? You're gonna have the destroyer player screening for you and able to give you vision, etc. He could also smoke you up, whatever it may be. You're gonna have a really good time because basically you have no downside at that point. But if you're gonna play solo, and I like covering these videos solo because I feel like it gives you a more realistic expectation for most players who play alone, you're kind of reliant on your damage output. So if you're not going to be outputting damage, you're not really going to be influencing the game much. And sometimes, of course, outputting damage, it is game influence. I always believed it's game influence. Some people say, oh, farming a battleship isn't game influence. Well, someone has to damage the battleship for people to kill it. If you're just going to leave a battleship alive, well, it's going to be long-term pretty bad for the team, right? So, of course, you offer that damage output potential, which is really good on these ships. But you are going to come at the big downside of you're not going to be as efficient against, well, destroyers. Now, if you saw the Utrecht video, any of you, you saw my first strike in that video. I did actually shoot a destroyer with the airstrikes and I smashed him. You can do damage to destroyers when you're behind islands, of course. But you're not going to be the one spotting for your team in terms of, like, you have no hydro, you know. And if one is pushing you and you have no means of spotting it, if you don't have a friendly destroyer to spot it for you, well, you're almost having to randomly guess where the destroyer is sometimes. You kind of need good game sense when you're playing this ship, to be honest. You do need some good game sense. We missed our second airstrike, unfortunately, but that's... No, I don't think we did, actually. We hit both, maybe. As you can see, 10k damage there from the first drop. A big, solid 10k damage on the second drop. The ship's damage output is not a problem. This one, the tier... This is, by the way, we're bottom tier. This one and the tier 10... Tier 8 I haven't played yet. I will feature it tomorrow in a video, probably. If you want to see that, of course, I will. And there's also a premium that I can feature. So that'll be coming up soon. But, yeah. This ship's damage output is no problem whatsoever. This ship's actually pretty good. Even the tier 10 is pretty good, damage output-wise. I know a lot of people say, oh, the tier 9s are always, you know, worse than the tier 10. I mean, that's normally how it is, but a lot of people say the tier 9s are maybe not up to par or something with other tier 9s. I don't see that most of the time. I mostly see Tech 3 tier 9s as being pretty much on par with old Tech 3 tier 9s. Some of them, of course, well, you know, I think they're fine, you know, like ships like Andalusia or whatever. But this one, for example, this one is a very good tier 9 that I see in the game. So yeah, but this is gonna be pretty much our game here. So we'll see. I don't think I can do much more. We can try to dodge the CV drop. The AA on the ship, I'm not really sure, because I haven't really gotten to try it out that much. But we shot down 6 planes, if you count that, you know, and my rudder's gem. Another downside of these ships, which comes with most light cruisers in general, is, well, you do have the downside. Well, I actually forgot what it was a second ago, but well, there is another downside, unfortunately, but I kind of just forgot my train of thought because someone was calling me on my phone, and unfortunately it distracted me. But this is the thing with live commentary, I can't answer calls. I have to be locked in to the game. We should be able to hit the Worcester, actually. Boom, dead. Oh, 5k damage, pretty solid. But yeah, as you can see, this thing like is insane, like for damage output. You know, imagine what it could do with a smoke bot division. You know, it would be incredible, right? So yeah, if you like damage farming super light cruisers or whatever, maybe it's not as much DPM as something like Colbert. Something you have to keep in mind though, unlike Colbert, is you actually have penetration on battleship armor plating, 32. You have up to 34 mil plating. So, well, that's what happens when you're caught in the open, but you can actually output consistent damage on targets, etc. But let's take a look at the score. All right, so we ended up doing 209,777 damage, 263 shell hits, 64 bomb hits, 3 kills, 8 fires. Team score, we got top of our team. Unfortunately, we also did lose this game. Detailed report. Most of our damage was on battleships, some on the Worcester, some on the Calgaro, some on the Jaeger, etc. Most of our damage came from HE and bombs. Most of it probably came from the bombs. I wish we could see what fires, like which shell type set fires. I wish we could do that, but we can't. So as you can see, we got 78k from guns, 83k from bombs. We also got 44k from fires. These fires, you know, you can get a lot of fires with this. This ship is, of course, going to be even better with the special commander, the Dutch special commander that's coming out next month. But it is work in progress, that commander, and subject to change. But when the commander comes out, I'll definitely cover it for the Utrecht or other Dutch ships in general. For my commander, once again, last stand, focus firing, training, survivability expert, superintendent, concealment expert, adrenaline rush, and heavy HE and sap shells. For equipment, main battery mod 3, concealment system mod 1, airstrike mod 1, aiming system mod 1, engine boost mod 1, and main armaments mod 1. That's pretty much the... Let me check what its name is so I don't get it wrong. The Minnow van Coehoorn. That's pretty much it for the ship, I guess. Personally, in terms of what I think of the ship, I think the ship is awesome. I think it's a great ship for damage. But your team play utility might not be that good. And might not be that good. I don't think it's that good personally. Because you don't have hydro, you don't have radar, you don't really have anything. Like, for example, Johan, okay, it's a heavy cruiser, etc. But at least you have the hydro, so it can allow you to do certain moves against smoke destroyers, etc. Or at least it allows you to be, even if you're in an open water position, it allows you to become more comfortable knowing there's no torps coming, etc. That's something, unfortunately, this ship won't have. But that, of course, comes at the price of, you know, getting really good damage output in general nowadays. So I think it's almost a fair trade. But you do have to keep in mind that you aren't going to be as potent and maybe as some other ships at the tier or at tier 10. It does remind me of something like Dalian or Sejong. Those also don't get hydro, but they get very good DPM. But this also has the additional penetration factor that you don't get on those ships. This one has really good HE pen, so you can actually pen the battleships and other cruisers, etc. So you can output really good damage. But I really like this ship personally. I think it's awesome. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think of the ship. Let me know what you think of the line so far. I will cover the Jawsfeld and the Fridge Head upcoming videos very soon. So keep an eye for those ones. But yeah, I've already covered the Utrecht. I'll leave a link to the Utrecht video in the comments, in the description of this video. But that's pretty much it. If you want to support the channel, you don't have to, guys. You don't have to. If you do, as an extra, there is a join button next to the subscribe button. At $1 a month, you don't have to do it, but at $1 a month or more, but $1 a month, I get 50% of it. You get a super container mission in game. Nothing too big, but it is a super container mission, and you know, it's better than nothing, I guess. But you don't do it if you just want the super container, because obviously it's not that big of a deal. You do it to support the channel. So, but you don't have to do it. But it's there. I don't do sponsorships, guys, so that's kind of like the only way I get some revenue, except for running ads. So, but yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Big fan.